Stand back, marshmallows. I'm about to do science. Hang on. I got this, Getter. I'll take you.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Here's an interesting observation.
More than anything, if I can catch one of those observations,
the slogans
chinking
that
the
yell
dragon's
the
armor,
loudest
buddy.
are the ones they believe the least.
Make you great.
You've been noticing that recently. Volume
She's gonna
is
love you when I'm
inversely
done if I'm
proportional
Cupid.
to sincerity. Maybe you scream it because you don't really believe it. Why do we think this? Well, here's why. The very same people who've told us for decades now that it's my body, my choice, and seemed to mean it when they said it, those same people abandoned their own argument immediately when COVID arrived. Suddenly, on a dime, they turned and they were demanding that we wear the mask and get the shot. But these were not optional suggestions. They weren't deeply personal decisions to be made according to the dictates of individual conscience after consulting with family, physicians, and clergy. They weren't between you, your doctor, and God. No, not at all. These were mandates. All of a sudden, Democrats were arguing that actually
Dual
politicians
diagnosis.
do get to
Real
decide
important.
what you do with your body. It's
So when
their
you get
choice,
into that,
not
you know,
yours. You inject
it's
these powerful drugs
democratically,
when you want
there's
to, or not
easier.
because
Pre-approved
we
for
own
heaven,
you.
purgatory.
Now, whatever else that is,
I
that
get-
is
he's not gonna do that.
a
That's-
pro-choice
I'm still setting
position,
up.
to put it
He's fine.
mildly. So as we watch this happen, we wonder.
You know, when you
What are
do the
these
dual
people
diagnosis,
gonna
all right,
say
honey,
the
you
next
yes.
time
Why? Because the
so-called
flu's gonna hit you harder.
abortion rights
What
get
happens when you
challenged
normally
in
hit the
court?
flu? You
And
get
now we
sick,
know the
get
answer.
nasty. Well,
Because
it's
last
the
night,
flu,
the Supreme
nasty,
Court
real
of the United
nasty.
States ruled
When I
on
said I had
abortion
strep
law in the state
once,
of
it was
Texas.
like,
That
you
decision
know,
came down by the way
congruency to
5-4.
my age
That's
bracket
the
that
exact
hit like
split
this. Now,
decided
when I get
Roe v.
older and
Wade
dual
almost 50
diagnosis,
years
doctor
ago.
and God,
So it's
gravity
good enough
9.8 meters
to
per
have
second
meaning.
off the roof. Click.
This time, the court upheld a Texas law that effectively bans abortion once a fetal heartbeat is detected. Typically, that's about 6 weeks into a pregnancy.
How
Now,
long
this
does it
new
take
law
to feel
does
pregnant?
not allow the government
It's
of
like
Texas to
morning
enforce
sickness
the
a week
ban,
or
so no
two,
one's going
so that's
to
5
jail
weeks,
over
2
abortion.
weeks. I mean, it's
Instead,
like
the new
if
law
the
lets
heartbeat
citizens
comes in
sue
and she doesn't
clinics
get
that commit illegal abortion.
dual diagnosis, what if there's more than one
No matter
woman,
how
or
you
you
feel
didn't
about abortion,
fuck
it's not
on that
hard to
one
argue
Wednesday
this
to
is
plan
especially
9 months out of there
radical law.
to pin those things down? It'd be the
Intentionally
first thing.
stopping
It's
a
usually
person's
what's hard
heartbeat
about
is the
the
definition of
doctor,
killing. Government has a
the
right
conscience,
to
and
regulate that.
you know,
In fact,
whatever. I mean, as soon as you
deciding
knew,
when it's okay to kill a
it
person is
kind
on
of
the
comes
most
at a
basic
point. You
level
know, I
the
mean,
whole reason to have laws
35
in the first
later
place.
on is the joke.
So whether
But
it's right or
that's a
wrong, or
chink
whether
right
you
there.
like
Like I
it or
said,
not,
that's
it's
kind
not
of
a
important
crazy
note to
statute.
kind of. That's
It did,
why
however, drive
democratic.
the media
That's what the
crazy.
information
Here's CBS
correlates to.
Quote News
Those
last
who
night.
It is nearly
sold
impossible
presidents
to get an
to the
abortion in
doctor
Texas.
about
The most
COVID
restrictive
shots
abortion
and
law in the country
abortions.
went into effect after
Like
the
I
US
said,
Supreme Court declined to act
she can be
on a
pro-life.
request
That's
to
fine.
block it.
She can get pregnant, and that's also going to fuck up numbers real good. You know, in town, her choice should really be a sensible model about, you know, yes, you don't know how much is going on between early, she's not pregnant, she has choice. Okay, she's agreeing with that model, but you're fucking up a lot of other people's numbers by saying, well, we're going to make that a rule about that because those situations apply to me, but could never happen to anybody else on the planet. Well, meanwhile, the abortion standards of whether, you know, she got in there with a coat hanger and that's murder, considering the procedures of not just the kid, but potentially yourself, because
How is an abortion service
now, I'm
different
not even
from
going to say that
abortion?
the
Why not just
suicide was
call it what
worth
it is?
it on
Here's
that,
the
but you
best
got to think
line
about the
from
mental
CBS. A
mental
so-called
faculties
fetal
inside of there.
heartbeat.
Firstly,
Imagine saying
about-
something like that out loud. Once they've decided you should die, they won't even admit you have a heartbeat.
we have
Do the
places
very
for
worst
this.
people in
There's
this
a
country
lot
go
of
into journalism or doesn't
a lot of
seem
good
that?
stuff in there.
Anyway, you'll notice
And that's
that
back to
CBS does
town.
not
And
make
obviously
a
the
case
doctor.
for abortion.
And what
No.
would be sensible
They
to
didn't tell you
certain
why it's so
trajectories under
important to
difference
stop
when
fetal
I say
heartbeat
the
beating. They just
costs
asserted
aren't
that it
good.
is. What they
But it
didn't
shouldn't
do
matter.
is say
There's
a
this
single
poor person
word of how
that
this
clearly
violates
can't do
physical
anything
autonomy
with
of how
this,
it's
that's
your
trying to
body,
make a choice
your
to do
choice.
that.
They can't say
And,
that now.
you know, somebody
Therefore,
needs to get out
mandating
there with
vaccines
and
and
arrest
masks.
those people and clear that
So
crowd
in that
for
way, over at
pro-choice.
CBS, they're still
Or
a little bit
Black Lives
smarter
Matter.
than the
Nobody was
protesters you're
arguing.
seeing on your screen right now.
You're an
These are the
electron.
people
It
who
has
gathered outside
graphing
the
standards.
Texas
You're a
State
person, you're a
Capitol in
person, you're a
Austin
person.
today.
We have
You'll notice
an
that
area
many
of
them are
operations.
holding
What
signs
laws? All of
affirming
them.
their
Don't do
physical
coke out here.
autonomy. You
Just
can't
don't
tell
shoot
them what to do
somebody.
with
Grab
their
her by the
bodies.
leg and drag her home.
Politicians, hands off my
Obviously.
body. But wait a second.
Not because
At
that's
the
a
very same
realistic
moment, they're
law, just
declaring
don't
their
do it.
physical
You
autonomy,
might
they're wearing their little
get
obedience
outnumbered.
masks, and you can bet money
Now
all
that
over
would be the first
vaccinated.
of it.
Why?
Why?
Because they were told to get
Because
the
it's a
shot.
sensible
So of course
answer.
they obeyed.
Don't do it. There's no long
don't see
trajectory
the
on that,
irony
short of
here.
it being a
On the
larger
other hand,
benefit
how
for
could they
her,
see it?
you, or anybody
So
else in the crowd.
few
What was
sane
her grandmama?
people are
She need
left
her.
with these
She need her
platforms
around in
You
town.
almost never hear a sensible,
What are you
logical, rational argument about anything. Just hours ago, for example, the ACLU, The American Civil
Equal
Liberties
Opportunity
Union
comes
released
around.
this
It's like,
statement,
yeah,
and we're quoting,
it's yelling at people
"Far
on Sharp's
from
case, on
compromising,
timelines,
vaccine
and doing
mandates
things for
actually
harassment.
further
It's like,
civil liberties."
there's a difference. They sound hard.
You
It's
have more
just the
civil
pressure on
liberties
the
when they
heart rate
control your
monitor from
body.
neural net as
You
the
can just
same
imagine
response
the
as fear when a
1860s
manager
version.
walks
Far
over
from
to a guy
compromising
that's
civil
got
liberties,
chipped
slavery
rocks in
actually
there and they
enhances
know it's
personal
coming down the
freedom.
pipes. But they don't realize
not even
what's coming. And it's
Orwellian
like,
at
it's the
this
same way
point.
I've been that kid. It's
It's
just,
post-Orwell.
it was sweet on the other
This is
side, but you know,
uncharted.
your heart gets slamming.
Things are
What
changing
happens
so fast
next?
that
I
a
mean,
lot
you're
of
going to
people on
start doing the
left are having
FMAs
trouble
on
keeping up with
the
shifting
universe where it's
justifications
limited
for
to
the
just that
policies they
situation
want.
in
Poor
that
Jen
that
Psaki,
frame. So
never
whatever E
ingenious to
is,
begin with,
environment
unintentionally
or
blew
electron,
herself up
Feynman
today with the White House
diagram,
press
this
briefing.
incident to that one,
Watch
or
this.
specifically Carl Sagan,
Why does the president support
data
abortion
compression,
when he told Teachers
1111111.
abortion is morally wrong?
No. He believes that it's a woman's right, it's a woman's body, and it's her choice.
Why does the president, who does he believe then should look out for the unborn child?
He believes that it's up to a woman to make those decisions, and
Well,
up to a woman
let's
to make
look at
those decisions with her
the
doctor. I
town
know
as
you've
whole. The
never faced
moment
those
should
choices,
look at the
nor have you
child.
ever been pregnant.
Realistically.
But for women out there who have faced those choices,
well, we look at that
this is an
situation
incredibly
in
difficult
presidents to Roe v. Wade for shooting
Ooh,
somebody
getting
in the
a
street.
Sophomore year gender studies lecture. from
Right,
Jen
protocol.
Psaki. Here at Wesley,
No,
Mr.
he's got an
Man,
AR-15
men don't get
pointed
to
at
talk
me.
about
Fuck him.
abortion.
No,
You ever
no,
been
no. You gotta
pregnant
shoot
before? I don't
first,
think
but
so.
he's got it
You
down
can't
like
get
this.
pregnant 'cause you're a
Cling,
man.
cling.
So abortion is a women's issue. Shut up. They've been saying that for so long they forgot to update the talking point.
Granny's gonna miss you.
You
It's
think
gonna
Jen
cause all
Psaki,
kinds
when
of
she does
problems
this for
when
a
you
living, she
factor
should
A
know
over B because
that men
these are
get
not
pregnant
the
now.
first time.
The
We could
science
just say
people
a
tell us
name
that
of a
every
rule
day.
or a
Men
situation,
get pregnant.
and
It's on
there
the
will be
cover of
so
magazines.
of
It's
the
on the cover of
entirety
People
of the
magazine
spectrum,
right now,
not
a
just
dude
of
who's
today,
pregnant.
but in fields of standards and timelines that adjusted it so I could say, well, today is, but there's still cultural notes, pay differentials, different stock indicators to really say, well, we're going to feed and speeds this thing, get it dialed in to make one loop. You know, one forward thing. Let's see if, you know what, I'm going to drop a note to you. And is it something that is registered? Why would I influence you that unless it's sensible to the design and physics? You're going to be all right with that, to have an abortion, get a shot, or otherwise. You know, I mean, I'll show you the science on what it is getting a shot. He probably got one. Maybe made him a better singer. But if they limit you on the job because of that on the system, then the T cells are T cells. And the differential is, you know, it's going to help you. Well, what do? They inoculate you with the weaker side of the version to get your T cells. And now, whatever version that mutates into, you're going to be more prepared for that than the first hit. Went hard, shock whipped the system real good. It evolved in a differential. Seasonally, it's going to keep doing that and dropping things down. Because that's any pandemic, that's any disease. It's let's go back and actually graph.
Now, what does that mean?
Let's go back and actually graph the flu, you know, or real numbers. A lot of it's realistic numbers. You go looking at it, you'd be sensible. Ages, differentials of those science say it's this. The rest is a bunch of greedy bullshit on making this and then saying, well, I split so many shares that these people had to make money on dirty deals of inflated tulip markets across the board, which generally is a moral case on execution for some things. Or why wouldn't it? Put your fucking ranks on the table. You know, you go live in Alaska as a homesteader, bro, and fucking start with Genesis, sticks out in the woods, naked and afraid. You know, hey, I can't shoot you. I can sure pistol whip you real good.
See, Cori Bush is on this.
Well, she has every right to talk, but I mean, somebody as representative needs to be kicked in the chin to who they do. I mean, of course, I look at the big bosses in town. That's going to be a dead ringer. Well, who's got the most money on the spring? They're going to want to talk about it. It's going to mean a thing, even if it wasn't. That's what you get for fucking not playing with gravity, running those numbers, taxes, and everything else. And it's going to kick you in the dick real fucking good about standards inside of there. So live in it. Get on that number. You catch a guy like me that'll actually turn your building into a fucking college. What do? And we got probation, we got parole. Fuck, I've worked with people with mental disabilities and fucking physical disabilities. And I trained them all. Not to just mention those stations or that systems, but how they have parallels, N1 to M2 and any other value.
just feel so
There's
sorry
close.
for
It's
these
work.
people.
That's what we do for
America
workers.
is
There's
a
time
country
fraud. There's work
changing so
fraud. There's
fast that,
nullifying
like, people
juries
over
on standards of
16 want a
calculus inside of there.
TikTok app that
What that
they
generally
just
mean?
gave
If they found it at
There was
that
a
company
time,
that
like,
those numbers
2
were
weeks ago
starting to
when
come
the
through,
Taliban
not by just
back
bullshit numbers, but
before
I'm
they were a
integrating things
critical
like
member of the international
Schrodinger's wave
community. You were
function
talking
inside of the
daily
system,
with
and they
Secretary
found
of
that
State,
beneficial to
National Security
marketing
Advisor,
or
waves
some
that
other
Americans
standard that is actually
aid
physically marketable. Somebody's going in there, they like the number. I'd like an eyewitness testimony, get you on the stand, see how you deal with it. What's that really going to do? How do you look in this system right here? Your body, your choice. You pour gasoline all over yourself and set the match.